Vandal swarm initiated. Warning, there are multiple hostiles inbound.
Hello and welcome back. For those of you that don't know, I am your host, Seth. So today's video is going to be a PvE review of the Anvil Gladiator. The Anvil Gladiator, for those that don't know, has been hangar ready for a little bit while now. However, it has only been recently flyable in the ATU, or Alpha Test Universe, is what I'm going to call it, i.e. not the Persistent Test Universe. Patch 111. The Anvil Gladiator is the premier fighter bomber for the UE forces. In other words, it's a missile boat, or a support fighter, or a fighter bomber. That pretty much means this thing is not intended to be a space superiority fighter. What does that mean? And you're going to see me emphasizing this a lot. The Gladiator is not something that's going to go around and duke it out and dogfight it effectively against things like a Hornet, or a Super Hornet, or realistically any primary fighter such as a 325A or the Mustang Delta. Yes, they can do well against these ships, but that's not its intended purpose, and it shouldn't be expected to be the best at that. Stats-wise, the Anvil Gladiator essentially is 22 meters long, 22 meters wide, in other words, the beam, and 8 meters tall. It's powered by 2 thrust rating 4 main thrusters, and 8 thrust rating 2 maneuvering thrusters, pushing this whopping shit at what weighs in at 26 kilograms, or 26,000 kilograms of null cargo mass. To put this into perspective, the F-7C-M, the Super Hornet, is powered by 1 TR-4 thruster. Sorry, brain fart there. 1 TR-4 thruster and 8 TR-2 maneuvering thrusters, and it weighs 23,000 null cargo mass. Null cargo mass means what the ship weighs without any cargo in it. The Anvil Gladiator is powered by 2 HE 5.2 Starheart 3s, which is a size 2 power plant. So 2 size 2 power plants, completely and totally separate. And it has a max power plant size of 2. The Super Hornet, comparing it again, because of mass size, is powered by 1 LR7 Ultra Overdrive size 3, with a maximum power plant size of size 4. This means that the Super Hornet, from what everybody's flying it as, still can upgrade its power plant size. And honestly, the Super Hornet kind of needs it. The Anvil Gladiator, though, does have a max shield size of 3, versus the Super Hornets, again, for comparison, which has a max shield size of 4. And I currently believe that the current shield that is being used is a size 2, not a size 3, but don't quote me on that. And as with everything, subject to change. But what's really awesome about this spacecraft is its armament. The Anvil Gladiator's armament, or weapon system, is 2 default gimbaled size 2 M4A laser cannons. 1 size 3 manned turret with 2 size 1 Bulldog repeaters. Remember, the piping system, size 3 means you can only fit size 1s. And 4, but really quickly before we get to that, this is a manned turret, and it's manned in the same way that the Super Hornet is, which is why I really felt that this was a really good comparison. Now, as per the missiles, which is what this thing is for. This thing is a missile boat. This thing has 4 size 3 twin missile racks, stock equipped with Tempest 2 missiles for a total of 8 missiles. And it also has 1 internal bomb bay, which is defaulted out currently with 4 size 5 missiles, and can equip torpedoes as well for a grand total of 12. That's 12 missiles. This means that you can fire 4 missiles per wave per restock if you evenly pace it, since you get a restock every 3 rounds. Visibility and handling, pretty much what you would expect. The forward acceleration feels somewhere in between a Hornet and a Super Hornet. Lateral movement is smooth, but extremely slow. The same amount and sized main thrusters compared to the Hornet and the Super Hornet, but it also has 3,000 more kilograms to push around compared to the Super Hornet. This thing really likes to drift and slide, as the main thrusters will literally scream to control the ship and bring it out of turns. This has a very obvious effect in dogfighting, but it also requires pilots to have more space awareness about what's around them. I have crashed into many an asteroid, killing myself or permanently damaging myself simply because I misjudged the drifting distance and how hard this thing turns. On the plus side though, the rotation seems to be only a nudge slower than a Hornet, which really means that it handles almost identically. As for visibility, a lot of people on the forums have been claiming that is horrible. I think in part that is due to people being, used to flying fighters and racers. This thing is a fighter bomber. As evident with the handling, the Gladiator is meant as a support fighter and to bomb the crap out of things like Connies, essentially turning them into dust. For that, the visibility is more than adequate. You really feel like you're in an armored cockpit. So, I really don't think the visibility is that big of an issue. And in a way, it kind of balances things out. Ultimately, as per the loadout, the feel of the flight handling, the way it turns, and the visibility, I really do think CIG got this one right. It feels like a fighter bomber, and it feels like you're driving something that is really robust and that you can rely on. The durability of the Gladiator is remarkable. Many collisions with being rammed by allies, being rammed by NPCs, crashing into, small asteroids, has definitely proved this, without a doubt in my mind. It's well armored, because it has 2 engines, it's very redundant. 2 power plants, again, very redundant. It does, however, come with relatively light shields compared to just about everything of its size. And that's fine to me, because it's a balancing mechanism, and they're adequate enough to do their job. The real big thing currently with this craft is its missile management. One of the problems in the current Arena Commander setup is the lack of ability to choose which missiles are locking on and firing, and in what order they fire. To do this, as you just saw, I've been essentially using power management as a selector. Unfortunately, it's not very reliable at the moment, because when you turn them off, they won't fire. But that doesn't mean they're not going to lock on. And that is a pain in the ass, because there are many times when I've had to essentially lock on almost all of my missiles just to try and fire the size 5s. Realistically, CIG, I hope you're paying attention to this, your missile management system should just be as power. If it's turned off, it shouldn't lock on or be selected to fire. And if it's turned on, you can select it to be fired. This means that you can flip a switch or use voice commands and turn things on and off and be able to select which missiles you're wanting to fire. And it's not really that big of a deal. And you can set it up to fire in order from left, right, alternating, or if you wanted to have it fire in a row. Ultimately, right now though, is the biggest complaint people have had about the ship on the forums, and other ships with multiple missile loads. It's just a pain in the ass trying to figure out what you're going to shoot it with. Also, as you can see, there's a bug currently. From what I can tell, if the target dies before the missile fires, after a long period of playing, it kind of stays selected as locked on, even though it's no longer there, and it never goes away during the resupply. So it can be kind of a pain in the ass to try and track which ones you fired and which ones you haven't. Persistent universe play and PvE rules are really, I think, the best judgment of what the ship's going to be like in the persistent universe. PvP currently in the Arena Commander is not going to be a good representation. Ultimately, this thing is a bomber that's the size of a fighter, and that's how it should be used. It should be a support fighter. You go in, you shoot high priority targets, and you break away. This thing will be a mid-sized ship killer, though, and when the mid-sized ships like the Connie start coming out for Arena Commander 2.2, I really do believe that this thing's going to shine, because it will be able to take out the bigger ships relatively quickly. This thing will also supposedly be able to swap out its bomb bay with a cargo hold, be able to mount salvage equipment, and other things. Might even be able to be turned into a dust-off ambulance, similar to a Huey. And in that, I think, it provides a level of modularity beyond the traditional combat rule. You can't tell by now, the life of Bomber is pretty simple, and it's rather chillax compared to high-paced fighting. You select the missiles, your power mode, you prioritize targets, you fly to the enemy, you lock on, you fire, you break away, and then you shoot down weaker enemies. It's all about payload management, and that's really what's going to distinguish who's a good fighter and who's not with this ship. Rent it, buy it, or forget about it. Remember, you don't have to buy anything and you don't have to get it, because you'll be able to get it in the persistent universe when the game comes out. Right now, buying it supports the game's development. And remember, we now have rec, so you can earn it and then rent it out. Should you buy it? Depends on your style. If you like the support role, the second line combat, totally go for it. Buy it. I am thoroughly happy with this ship. It feels great and it feels awesome. Go ahead and rent it. Rent it the crap out of it if you don't want to buy it, because it's fun. It really is. Good comparisons for this, though, are going to be ships like the Freelancer MIS, the Retaliator, and the Vanguard. And that's pretty much everything I have to say about the Anvil Gladiator. I hope you all enjoy it, and please remember to subscribe and like the video if you liked it, and dislike it if you disliked it. Until then, I'll see you in the verse. Take care, guys.